All right, hello everybody. Here we are in the finals for the first King of the Hill event at the Q in Maplewood, Missouri. It's a little suburb inside of St. Louis. And in the finals, we have Chad Bickell and Mike Mueller. And they have earned the right to play each other for the final spot here. It's a race to 11 total, but it's a Masters style format. So they're going to play 12 games of 9-ball. And if there's no winner by then they will play 9 games of 8-ball. And if it goes to the last game, it'll be Hill. But looks like I think Chad won the. Actually, I think Mike won the flip and took the break, and Chad chose 9-ball. So after a pretty monstrous break, kind of lost the cue ball a little bit. It's going to be a little back and forth. Mueller looks to be in pretty good shape to clean up the first track. I think a little later on, we'll have a co-commentator, but for right now, you're kind of stuck with me. Good shot from Mike to force the cue ball up table. I think he went a little further than he wanted, but he'll play the 8 on the other side, most likely. It's going to be interesting watching these two play. They have a pretty distinct difference in the way that they play the game. Mike seems to be a little more... It's kind of a slower pace. You don't see a lot of big power shots from him. He plays table speed usually pretty well. Chad, on the other hand, is I think he's more of a big table player, where he likes to move the ball, and he's over the last year or so watched him make the adjustment to the bar table, and he's gotten pretty confident on that in that format. Mike does take the first game. That was a great shot in the 8. Draw back off that 8-ball and get a good shot at the 9. This is they're going to do rack your own. And you see Mike there just lining up. There is no spot on the table. It has worn off. Excuse me. So he's using his cue to get that top line across the diamonds there. So he knows where to put the 1 ball. Because there are several actual like burn marks where the spot, around where the spot would be, just from the various different players and games. And this is a pretty popular table in here, especially for the kind of the upper level players. We're kind of tucked back out of the way of everybody else. There's almost no foot traffic on this side of the floor. So it's and table plays nice. The only interference here is there's a change machine just out of the right-hand side of the camera as we look. So sometimes people will walk by to get some quarters for some of the other tables. So the King of the Hill event is actually, like I mentioned earlier, this is the first final of the event. The event actually went through a couple of different iterations before it found its final form. Nice break from Mike, makes the 1 on the side, moves the balls all around the table. They kind of coalesce in a strange little way here. It looks like that's the 2-9 kind of snuggled up, and I don't think the 9-ball goes from here. So let's see what Mike likes to do. So it started off being it was modeled a lot after the Hustler show on what channel was that? True TV. They had that show about that out of Steinway in New York, where they had basically 10 players, kind of 10 of the best players in the house, and somebody kind of ranked them and said, all right, guys, here's your ranking. Everybody play, and you got to challenge the next spot up and defend your spot before you could go up. Yeah, Mike wanted to obviously get behind that wall of balls there and just kind of hit the 2-ball a little fuller than necessary in order to do that. So now he's left. Chad's looking at the carom here. So we'll see. I can't tell if it's on or not. Yeah, it's a little on the thin side from where he was, but that's all right. So anyway, there was some scheduling problems, and people weren't able to get in and get their matches done. Then plus there was a waiting list with about another 10 players or so that wanted a chance to get in the top 10. And basically they kind of played each other. The waiting list actually played each other a little more often than the top 10 did. And then we had some people had to drop out for some personal reasons, and the list just got a little shuffled, a little too much to really make it viable to continue. So what we ended up doing was just kind of clearing the slate and saying, okay, give me 10 players, the first 10 players to actually I think they did 12 maybe for the bracket, but basically they just made a single elimination bracket, and everybody played from there. And for the most part, it was the same 10 players with a couple of guys that had some challenges on the challenge side of things. The other issue they had with the challenge format was you had basically the top 4 spots basically only ever played each other. I think the top player changed 3 times, and they but nobody could really break through the top 4. So it kind of became a little redundant, and there really wasn't a clearly defined end in sight. So we decided to go with a tournament format and just kind of see how it goes. And so anyway, that brings us to where we are here. Mike has won 3 matches to get here, and Chad has won 3 matches to get here. And here we are. Each of the bracket races were races to 9 instead of 11. So this will be a nice long race. And Mike just overcut that ball a little bit, and everybody knows you jack up on a ball and goofy things happen. So let's see what Chad can do with this. I've been playing with Chad for a good couple of years now, and he's alternated between wearing glasses and wearing contacts, and it seems like every time he switches, his game goes up a little bit, but then he ends up going back to the previous decision for one reason or another. Either eyes dry out, or he can't see through the top of the glasses, or something like that. And it's something that every pool player with glasses or contacts are well aware of. So you can see here he's playing a little safe, because even if you slice that 5 off the table, there's no real reward on the 6. So they're just kind of, these guys have played each other plenty of times before, so they each know what the other's capable of. So I can't really say they're trying to get a feel for each other, but they're both just, getting a feel for the match and trying to get started. Okay, he did get a rail there, but obviously no safe here, and the ball's laid pretty good after this. And 5 on the side and 6 in the bottom left corner. And 8 sitting in front of the hole, so really the toughest shot's going to be the 7. So you just have to make sure that you give yourself an angle so you don't have to deal with the 9. And he did that. I think he came out a little shorter than he wanted to. He's got a little more angle, but he'll be able to handle it just fine. He's drawing to the side rail and back out for the 8. He might just float over. Yeah, no, he decided to go ahead and bounce a little bit. It's got a nice angle. He can go up and down table here if he wants. And it's thin enough. I don't think you want to try and hold this ball. A lot of players will look at this shot and think, I don't want to go all the way up and down, because what if I do something wrong or back? But yeah, you need to play that ball to anticipate hitting this bottom round going back out. Chad gives him up, and Mike takes a 2-0 lead.
We're going to have a dark board here again pretty soon. I don't know when that's going to be, though. He's getting rid of that.
Be right back. All right, let's see if Mike can get his break under control, which Mike does like to hit him hard, but I can't recall ever seeing him have this kind of issue with the break. So he clearly is going to need he's going to need to dial it back, get it under control, or figure out what's going on. I can't say that I don't think he's scooping the ball, but his timing looks to be a bit off. So he might be just hitting a little down on the ball, and it's well airborne by the time it hits the one ball, and that's what sends it flying off the table. Meanwhile, Chad's got a good look at the first half of the rack. The 5 ball is going to be the only real problem. So right now he's trying to figure out he needs to get from the 4 to the 5, and how do you get from the 3 to the 4 so that you can get to the 5. And you'd like to have a kind of a decent cut on the 4, probably up table. And he decided he didn't want to risk it, so he's got a good safe lane right there, and just went ahead and stick him in the back of the 6. It's actually a relatively calm night here. Most of the regulars here are probably just taking the evening off. Tomorrow is the LTC tournament for all the APA players. This is primarily an APA bar, bar/pool room, I should say. It was a good hit from Mike. I think Chad's going to just try to lock him up again and use the 3 and the 8, but looks like he's going to leave a bit of a window. I don't know if he left enough of the 2. I think he probably does have enough of the 2 to make it. He's going to have to come with a good position shot here to get anything on the 3, but he again is going to have the same problem from the 4 to the 5. Now that the 4 is in a little bit tougher spot. Let's see what he does here. Let's see how he handles this one. That's a little surprising to me. I think he thought he would get a little draw and it wouldn't drift so far across table. From the way I'm looking at it, I thought he would have had to kind of stun it deep into the corner and just kind of come deep 2 rails out, kind of back towards the 8 for the shot on the 3. But as it is, he made a great bank. I think the 6 ball has him pretty well hooked here. I don't think he can see any edge of this ball. Looks like he's going to try and jump this ball. So this will be a tricky little jump. I mean, it's the monitors. It looks like it's a very thin cut into the side, and he's going to try and jump and do this. I think he's just going to go for the hit more than anything else. But yeah, he was really afraid of overhitting it and going off the table, and that happens quite a bit when you're dealing with jump shots. So now Chad's got he's able to get that angle exactly as he needed. Yeah, Chad's in great shape to go ahead and clean this rack up and make his first mark on the board. And you will notice Chad has a very distinctive kind of a long, it's almost like a 3-part kind of stroke. It's kind of like if you took that little loop that Scott Frost does and sometimes accentuate it but then slow it down. Scott tends to do it very quickly. Chad does it a little slower. Hi, Liz.
Is there sound on that?
Just from here.
What?
Just from the microphones on the headsets. But yeah, the house music will cause a problem if I go to upload it to YouTube, so just turn that off. When the regulars came over, everyone likes to come take a look at the equipment here, the computers and the monitors, mixing board and all that stuff. So, all right. Chad makes a great back cut on the 9 and get on the board. And I was not aware that they had somebody playing on that other table. Personally, I would really like there to be nobody on the table next to them for something like this. But, this is first and foremost a business. And so we'll see how it goes from here. It may not be much of an issue, but we'll see. Both of these guys are real used to dealing with foot traffic and whatnot, so I don't think it'll be anything that'll get under anybody's skin. You just have to be a little more mindful of the players around you, because it looks like the players on their table are not seasoned pool players, so they may not be as aware of kind of the necessary courtesy that players need to have for one another when they're playing on adjacent tables. So let's just hope that doesn't actually have any kind of factor at all in the match. So see, Chad's break is it's a lot more controlled. He controls the cue ball well. It looks like the one ball kind of went right back to where it started, so that's interesting. But he's got looks like if he can cut it, I think he's got to go to the left. Oh, he played the 1-9. Great shot. Great shot. He gets on there. That's let's take a look at that shot again while they're wrecking the balls up here. If he can cut it, I think it's got to go to the left. Oh, he played the 1-9. Excellent shot. Excellent shot. That was a very difficult combination, and he shot it as perfect as you could shoot any combination. He back cut the 1 to kind of back cut the 9, and it was a thin cut. But, that's making the most of the opportunities you're given. That's a huge part of any game, really, and especially 9-ball. And, these are two very good players, so I expect to see a lot of really great shots this evening. Sorry about the little scratches on the mic here. Just enjoying a tasty beverage right now. Well, again, Chad's got a nice layout here. Quite honestly, I expect this match to come down pretty close to Hill, and I think it will absolutely be decided by the 8-ball break. Both these guys, despite what we've seen so far from Mike, his break's been a little off, but if he gets it under control, and he and Chad break with about the same amount of success. So I definitely expect to see a number of break and runs and even a couple of packages here. Nice shot there. Good stroke to avoid the side pocket. A lot of players get scared there. And they don't put enough spin on it, or they hit it too hard, and the speed really just takes it right in the side. Another nice shot. Stun into the rail. Had to do it good forceful. He's got kind of an awkward shot here. You know, you could back cut it into the side. You know, or you can kind of stun into the rail below the side and put the 7 in the lower left corner. He's just trying to decide which is going to be the easier shot with the best position. And that's really what he's kind of looking at here. You don't really want to try and jack up and like hammer this ball. You just, you know, you just have to hit it confidently. And here he's looking at the back cut into the, you know, into the side pocket. And I'm sitting at a completely different angle than how the camera is, so how I see it is quite a bit different. So I'm not really going to make a suggestion of how I would play this. From what it looks like on the monitors, personally, I would play this, play the 7 in the corner, and just make sure to draw into the rail, and just kind of hopefully try to have the cue ball. Just kind of die if you can, right about where that chalk is on the left rail, but I have no idea what the angle actually is on the table. Let's see what Chad does. Oh. That was another really great shot. He decides to bank it and go forward. Holy cow. That was great. That was great. Oh no. He hung it. And Mike does get the game. But let's take another look at that bank shot, because regardless of what happened on the 9 ball, that bank shot was outstanding. Oh. Banks that ball forward. That was another really great shot. He decides to bank it and go forward. Sorry, I talked over that. He banks the ball forward with inside English and comes around 3 rails. I think it's pretty decent shape on the 9. I think he just, I think he kind of took it a little bit for granted. You know, you make a shot like that, it's so easy to say, well, I can make that. I don't have to think about this one. And sometimes that happens. And, you know, the game goes on. It's still early. We got a lot of pool left to play. So I know Chad's got a real strong mental game. So it's that's not going to really bother him. Now, if he does it 2 or 3 more times, that's when you have to kind of have to start to wonder how that's going to affect him. But for right now, 1 game this early, he's just going to kind of laugh it off, shake his head, and say, well, kind of wish I hadn't have done that, but nothing else you can do from here. There we go, much better. You know, Mike took his time on the break, very deliberate. You know, made some balls, and he's got a real good looking table here. He just needs to manage this 1 to the 2. That is the 2, right? Or is that the 4? No, it's the 2. Yeah, it's the 2 in the center of the table. So he needs to pick a pocket for the 2 so he can play the 3 and the 4. It's the 7 down there below the 9, so he made the 5 and 6 on the break. So he's going to be playing from the 4 to the 7. The 7 kind of has a small window. But I kind of expect him to handle this well unless he gets on the rail. So I'll probably just float this in and take what he gets. Takes what he gets. I'll take what he gets. From the 3 ball here. If it were me, I'd try and get the cue ball pretty much right where it is now and shoot the 4. So let's see what he opts for. All right, here's the key shot of the rack. Oh, nicely done. Cut the ball in with a lot of inside English. Missed the 9. Got on a good got a good look at the 7. Now he'll just stun straight at the table for the 8. And it'll be the 9 in the same pocket as the 7, I expect. Yeah. Oh no. See, I think he talked himself out of that one the same way that Chad talked himself out of the other one. He I think his first instinct was to shoot it right, and then he realized that he was rushing and kind of talked himself out of it, which definitely happens when you want to make extra sure you got the ball. And Chad gets it, so now it's all tied up. And our owner just walked in, and I want to ask him a question real quick, so I'll be right back, guys.
So I have a way I can actually put this stream up on TV if there's an opening in my slot. You know what? We'll just. No, I'm not here. I mean, everyone's over at Dry Cup. It's just bad timing. Everybody's at Hot Shots. For City. The City tournament started today. Oh, I thought that was tomorrow. The LTC. Yeah, it's today. Friday night rounds. Oh, okay. Yeah, I kind of was expecting. I'm like, all right, well, where's everybody? Right. But, yeah, because I thought we'd have like a crowd, you know, I'm like, well, I want to put it up on the thing, but yeah. All right, no big deal. They were thinking about doing it next Friday, too. Next Friday, the first round of paintball cities is here, so. Oh, jeez. It's bad timing. Yeah. It's all right. Next week. Right.
All right, guys. So Chad didn't like the dry break, didn't like where he left it. So obviously he's going to go ahead and push out. I'm sorry, Chad made the ball. It's his option. He didn't like after the break, so he decided to push out. And Mike plays a nice little kind of bank safe. Even if Chad can see the one, I don't think he's got too much on it. So we'll see. Doing a little furniture arranging. There's a giant wooden table just on the bottom side of the screen here, and there's like 12 bar stools surrounding it. So it's kind of making some space. I mentioned earlier that a lot of the regulars aren't here because the APA cities are starting. I would thought it started tomorrow. It actually started tonight, and they're at a different pool hall. It's a little bit bigger, and I think that place has like 17 tables. This one has 9. So we had a little jump shot there, and didn't quite work out, but it got the job done. You know, didn't really leave anything. Didn't leave a hanger. The owner of the bar was actually in that bracket tournament that I mentioned earlier. I think actually, was that he and I? I think he and I played, yeah. He and I played in the first round, and I happened to squeeze by him on some fortunate events, and I was not able to capitalize with that same sort of luck in the next round. So I went one and done. I guess one and two and out, whatever, so to speak. All right, so shot of the one here. The three locked up with the two, so we're gonna expect to see him just stick him with the back of the two. Nicely done. Notice how he chose to go to the rail and then bounce back into the three instead of just kind of sticking him going straight at it. And I think you can control the ball a little bit better if you can manage that speed, because otherwise he would have had to control the cue ball to about an inch. But Chad makes a good hit. Kind of doing a little tactical-ish back and forth here. If the two goes in the side, then he's got a problem with the three, because he'll have to play the 3-9 or the 3-5 rather. And obviously he doesn't like it, so just do that. Play the 3-5. That is the 4 ball, the top corner just near the 5. And he gets that ball to fall. Handles that well. Gets this ball in. A little bit of spin to get back closer to the 7. And Chad's in good line. She came a little farther than I think he would have wanted, but nothing he can't handle. Just go down to the end rail and come back up instead of trying to hold it. There. Took a little bit extra time there to make sure he didn't miss another 9 ball. Nobody likes to miss a 9 ball, especially after doing all the heavy lifting in a rack. It makes it very tough to continue, if you're having that kind of issue. They are using the Magic Rack, and you saw Chad there inspecting the balls, and that's just because Magic Rack, as good as it is, if there are lots of balls of varying ages, or maybe the balls, they're not in the same set, some balls get worn out more than others, and so you can still check for some gaps. But most times it's pretty good. He made the wing ball and cut the one, a nice cut break. And the one on the side made the wing ball as well. And he's got a great look at the 2. The 4 is going to be the only problem. I can't tell if it passes the 7 into that top left corner. And we'll find out in 2 shots. Just about to say, Chad tends to play with a very long bridge, but it very often, it sometimes looks awkward because of the length of the bridge, but he's jacked up over a couple of balls. He's got some reach, so you kind of need to do that, but a lot of times doing that will sacrifice some accuracy. And Mike decided to go, kind of go for the cheese a little bit, but you're cutting the cue ball. The cue ball's going that direction anyway, so there's no harm in lining it up and maybe trying to play both balls, with the one exception of if you try and play both balls, then neither ball gets the full focus of the shot, and sometimes you end up missing them both, just like that. So now Chad's got another opportunity here to do something. And I know I'm curious what he's going to do with that 4. I still can't tell from either angle whether or not the 4 passes. He's really trying to figure out what he's going to do with that. If he tries to go forward around the 6, I don't know that he can get around the 6. So he might just be looking at you don't really want to play a safe. I mean, the 4 ball it doesn't leave a good quality safe, but so he's come up with a plan and played there. So let's see. I know, I'm curious. Yeah, he did not want to clip the 7 with the 4. He just wanted to thin it, and yeah, he hit it obviously a little fuller than he expected. So looks like Mike. Well, I was going to say it looked like he was going to try and kick the combo, but instead he just wanted to kind of stick it. He wanted to get the cue ball behind the 8, you can tell. But I think he left Chad enough of the ball that he'll be able to play with shape. He just has to make sure he doesn't, get hooked by the 8. So I'll have to just go ahead and hit the 8. Got a good shot on the 7 here. Now he needs to come 2 rails, come back out and play the 8 in the same pocket. Some people like to go forward here. He's going to go ahead and play 2 rails, back and across. That same shot, not really the same shot, but it's another one of those shots that a lot of players will be afraid of scratching there. Yeah, that was a little tricky. He had just the kind of goofy angle going forward, puts him really close to it. But the prevailing theory is that being this close to the ball should not be a problem in making it. Personally, I don't always find that to be true, but Chad makes good work of that shot. Takes a 2-game lead. And while they're racking, I will be right back. All right, now that the music's playing, I'm really going to have to keep talking so that when this does finally get uploaded to YouTube, the YouTube doesn't mute the whole darn thing. So for that, I do apologize, because I might just have to start rambling and hope that YouTube doesn't throw a fit. If you're watching this on YouTube and you can hear me complain about it, then you know that it worked. All right. I don't know how Mike got to the table. I'm assuming Chad broke dry or missed a breakout of something of that sort. Mike put a good stroke in that ball and just drew it back and forth. He's got a good shot on the 6. He's a little straight. He's going to want to pound this into the rail again so that he doesn't get stuck on the rail and have to shoot the 7. So expect another just kind of a good punch. And I thought he would have hit that one a little harder, but as it is, he hit it just hard enough to keep him on the rail, but didn't cause him any problems. He's got a good shot, and Chad says, "You know what? That's good." And Mike pulls to within 1. And after 9 games with 9-ball, we are just 1 rack away, and they're only going to play 12 games of 9-ball. After that, they will move to 8-ball.
Jeremy, if you could just sit one stool closer to that television. Well,
So it's exciting.
Jeremy, if you sit closer, you can see it better. Thanks.
So yeah, after 3 more games of 9-ball, they'll switch to 8-ball, and then they're going to play. So it's for 12 be 9 games of 8-ball, or up to 9 games of 8-ball. So this is the modified Masters format, or rather the extended Masters format, where you can push out after the break, use a jump cue. There is no 3-foul rule in effect, and they are racking their own. I don't know if they're going to rack their own for 8-ball. It seems like if you're going to rack your own for 9-ball, I'd rather rack your own for 8-ball as well. Just because there's so much more potential for gaps in the rack with an 8-ball rack. And it's not so much that you don't trust the other player. My personal preference is to rack your own, and it's not because I don't trust the other player. It's just that I'm more confident in making sure I give myself a good rack, and it's not a. It's not. It's never against. For me personally, it's never against what the other player is doing or can do. It's just that I know that I'm going to give myself a good rack, and sometimes people are in a hurry or they get frustrated with how the game's going, and they kind of throw them in there. And I suppose it is it would also, of course, be my right to check the rack if I feel like it was racked in a hurry and maybe with too many gaps. But all right, Mike makes a good back cut bank. Don't really know what he's going to do on the 2-ball here, so let's. I almost kind of expect him to look for a safe. He might just put the cue ball right behind the 6. He's got to get a rail. He got it, and he did. I think he might actually underhit that a little bit, but you can see how he just so thinly grazed the 2 and put it there nicely. I don't. Yeah, he's pretty. He's hooked as far as I can tell from here. But let's see. He might have that. Yeah, he did. He had the outer edge. Now, we will never know if Chad actually planned to hit the 3 and use the 3 as a blocker. Judging by where the cue ball is, I would expect he was going for the... I expect he was going to try and use the 8 as a blocker. But it worked out. Mike comes with a nice little rail first kick on the 2 and gets the 9 going a little bit, but Chad again has no shot on the 2, so he can't bank at it. So he's going to kick behind it. Oh, this is going to turn out real nice for Chad. Good kick. And cue ball drifts up right behind the 3. Blocks him quite nicely. Good shot. So Mike again is going to look for the probably the 2-rail kick here. He's going to come underneath it. Be very unlucky if he actually came off the bottom and scratched on the other side. But no, so we're seeing some good kicking back and forth there, and they're both getting nice returns on their kicks. Mike has left that ball kind of in a bad spot. There is a gap large enough for the cue ball to go through there, but I don't think it's enough to see the 2. So Chad again is going to kick underneath it. And he kicks this ball all the way down the rail and makes it. Now that's because Chad, I'm not going to say it's because, but I don't think any one-pocket player would play that shot as the table laid there on purpose. However, it's not outside the realm of possibility for a one-pocket player to play that shot when necessary. So with the 5 ball where it is, we again might be looking at an early 9. But Chad's going to have to really look at it. I think the 4 ball passes. I feel like the 4 ball passes from where I'm sitting. But again, I'm not at the table. I can't see for sure. And he's looking at that line that he needs. Because if he makes the 4 clean, obviously, he's got nothing on the 5. So he might be cutting the 4 into the 9. And maybe with some speed to get the 9 out of there in case. No, he just went straight for the carom, it looks like. And I think Mike has... He obviously can see the top side of the 4, or the far side of the 4 as we look, which might lead to a bank in the side. I don't know if he's got enough to try and cut the ball into the corner. The 5 is kind of hanging, so to speak. But he's got, there we go, yep, okay. Yeah, Mike's in a good spot here. He's a little jacked up over the 8. And 6 is kind of in the same spot, so he might just float this in and play the 6 all the way up table. Yeah. And come forward here a bit. 7 in the opposite corner. And depending on the angle he leaves himself with, 8 obviously either in the side or in the corner. So we shall see. Did you win? It's still playing? No, you can talk. It's okay. Hang on, Pete.
No, she played well. She won. Yeah, she won 5-3. Yeah, she did really good.
Good for her.
I'm sure. We're getting ready to go. We're going to go back to my house and get 4 games.
Final video should be fun.
All right. Well, if you can hear the music, and if you are, I don't know, let's say over 25, I would hope you would recognize the iconic movie that this song is from. And if you don't know, then it's Caddyshack Time, and it's a golf movie, and it's hilarious, and we should all watch the movie at some point. But as it is, we got a tie ball game here after 10 games. There's only 2 more games in 9 ball, and then we're moving into 8 ball. And I called it early that it's going to be a close match, and it should be. I mean, this is the finals. These guys have both fought very hard to be here. They were both in the top 4 in the first format of this event. Mike just doing a little bit of house cleaning here. He's chalk gets on the table and gets on the hands on the ball, and you end up with some weird, some weird skids and stuff like that. And I definitely appreciate it. I know I'm kind of a similar sort of, I'm not gonna say nitpicky, but just you want to play on nice, clean equipment that plays nice and reliable. And dirt, dust, and chalk bits, and they don't always help out in that respect. All right, Mike, let's see how your break works this time. Nice, good, solid stop on the cue ball. Stopped it real nice. Made the one on the side, I think, and 2 ball came around the table in the corner. He's got to look at the 3 ball. It's thin cut on the 3, but the 4 is hanging. So he really just needs to focus on making the 3. And after that, the rack should be his. But there's still some balls left, so let's see how the table plays out. But all right, did a good job there, and he even moved the 8 off the rail a little bit, so that worked out real well. That 8 was in a pretty bad spot, but now it goes on the side. He can get there straight from the 7, so looks real good. Hit this ball to a little high inside, come under the rail, and then the inside spin brought it forward closer to the 5. It's got a good angle here. If you are wondering why there's a website address in the lower left corner, it's because I am the creator of the STLPool.net website, and it's my venture here to try and do as much live streaming and pool recording in and around the area as possible. I would normally be streaming this live, but there's actually the house internet here cannot actually support that, and so I'm just going to record it. Obviously, we'll put it up on YouTube, and if you're watching this, then you're watching it on YouTube most likely. Nice, good shot, good clearance, and because he's, this isn't a hanger, obviously Chad's going to go ahead and make him shoot it, and there's never any offense taken to making a guy shoot a non-routine 9 ball. Like I said earlier, it's, STL Pool we're really trying to just kind of bring the pool scene in St. Louis. Guys dropping stuff on the camera table. Nice break and run from Mike. But anyway, like I said, I was trying to just bring the pool scene in St. Louis, to a wider audience online, and just try and kind of bring the whole community to the, into the next era of pool. There's a couple of other venues that will actually do some streaming. But pretty much it's myself and that other venue. And, it's anything out of Teachers Billiards in St. Charles. They're trying to do a lot of nice things for pool, and they're bringing events. There's actually a pro event coming next week, but since I'm not live streaming this, I'm not actually going to waste the YouTube time to talk about it. But if you're ever curious about what's going on in pool in St. Louis, you can hit the website. I try and list all the tournaments in and around the area, and that includes all of your $5 and $10 weekly events and your monthly events that we have. And there's a number of events that are going around. There's a lot of doubles events, Scotch doubles, Jack and Jills, some with some good. Oh, look at that! And the 9 actually got kicked in. So if he had just held on to that cue ball a little bit, he would have secured the final 9 ball game and forced a nice long 8 ball set. As it is, we're going to see a nice long 8 ball set anyway. But yeah, the other thing I'll also try and do with the website is to not only list the events, but also to list the people who are winning the events. being able to know what players are playing where is incredibly valuable, I think. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on the site. If you happen to visit the site and you have any feedback you want to share or any results or events that you want to share, please let me know. Sometimes there are some dry streaks where results don't always get posted right away, but it takes a lot of time and effort to dig into all the Facebook posts and hear what happened where. And not every host venue posts all their events, so I have to rely on word of mouth sometimes. But I'm doing what I can with it. When I heard that they were going to do this King of the Hill event, I was really excited because obviously it's something that people are excited about. They're excited about pool, and the queue here has really done a lot. They invested a lot of money in these diamond tables, and they were the second place in the area to get rid of all the valleys, and not just. Oh, you got by there. Nice shot. They were the second place in the area to just ditch all the valley tables and go all diamonds. And the response has been incredibly positive, and there's a couple other places that followed suit afterwards. So there's just only, I'd say the area is probably split right now. It's half diamonds, half valleys. Looks like Chad's going to go around. No, he had enough to cheat it. Okay. So yeah, the area is kind of split between diamond and valley right now, and so the players that maybe don't like diamonds for whatever reason, they have places they can still go. Play on the valleys, and vice versa. The people that are really excited to not be playing on valleys can play on diamonds. Okay, so after the 9-ball set, we're all tied up at 6, and looks like they're going to take a little player break, and I'm going to take a break as well.